You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
Hey everybody, it is Toronto Sports Rush, and we are fresh off of a Leafs victory. If you're hearing that, it means it is obviously this season, this 2024-2025 season, of which the Leafs have been absolutely dominant. 3-1 over the Seattle Kraken. It was a bit of a late one, but we are very thrilled to have Sara Civian here to help us break it all down. And Sara, so good to have you on. Last time that we chatted was the day after the election, which felt like a little bit different than right now. Actually, maybe not. The world is ending as it was then. So as we say with that, the Leafs are not ending. Anthony Stolarz back from injury. Doesn't even look like he left. I mean, how impressed are you to see a guy come back and there's like just no rust on him whatsoever?
I know. This is like the anti-Leafs season, the opposite of what they usually do. It's like they're scoring so much just in time for him to come back too. So it's like they get the best of both worlds right now. And Stolarz, he hasn't missed a beat, and that's absolutely crucial for this team.
I love that. The anti-Leafs season. So it's like the bizarro world season for the Leafs this year. Everything that you knew about the Leafs.
Things go right.
Yeah, forget it. Like completely forget it, because right now they're clicking. We saw, I want to say, Phil Myers. I always want to say Felipe just because my brain just looks at his full name as Felipe. And I was watching the first period in Spanish, so that felt apropos with the fact that he scored his first goal in Spanish for me. Have you ever seen that before, by the way, that option on ESPN Plus?
No. Are you learning Spanish now? I feel like, what language don't you know?
No, I want to learn Italian next. I mean, I haven't fully learned French, let's just say, but like I did over 500 days on Duolingo and like 5 classes, and I feel like that was a good enough effort to put in. But yeah, there's the option. As soon as I saw that there was an option to watch it in Spanish, I was like, well, I obviously got to check this one out. I'm going to say I was slightly disappointed, as I was hoping for like a little more energy in the call. But I do like the fact that hockey is in Spanish, because that's not really what we see. But anyway, Phil Myers scores his first goal as a Leaf, and this guy's just been like ripping it. He's been ripping it and betting on himself. What do you kind of like about some of this depth scoring, especially like a guy like him who's been a bit of a career guy in the org, but not really like a star ever?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with that, Julie. It's like the depth scoring, the depth defense on this team is kind of otherworldly right now. And you got even Bobby McMahon. It's like the guy's name is literally McMahon. It's like some Mick guy comes in and it's like a new goal every time. And it's awesome. I mean, I love Steven Lorentz too, and like a hometown kid. It's just like name a guy that's in the org and that has been kind of festering around for a few years, and he's probably going to connect this season. So that's been great. The goals are coming from down
Bobby.
the lineup too. Cause like, I mean, Bobby on the power play.
Yeah, no,
the
go
power
ahead.
play's back.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, you're good. I just.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I've never had anyone say, no, it's okay.
Yeah. We're the polite team today.
Yeah. Bobby McMahon. 3 goals in 3 games, 17th of the season. Hand up, I would have guessed that he'd have 17 so far this season.
No.
I mean, that's like a huge win. Like, I feel like the Leafs have gotten a lot of surprise wins out of guys so far.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that you think like,
that's kind of,
I mean, there's some guys that like surprise slow moments, maybe like a Max Domi perhaps, but like otherwise, who else do you like maybe right now who seems to be clicking, who's not a star?
That's a great question. I mean, Bobby McMahon comes to mind. I just like that. He has been a force for the team when maybe Austin Matthews is in and out of the lineup and not scoring as much as he has been. It's just kind of like the second power play unit in general it's clicking. And they've always had so much dominance on the first unit and the first line. So just to have it up and down in general, I'm going Bobby McMahon. How about you?
Yeah, Bobby McMahon. I just love saying his name because he just sounds like, well,
I know. I just want to
former.
say it.
Yeah, I worked with a guy at Fox Soccer Report called Bobby McMahon, and he was a former Scottish soccer player. So it just, that feels more like Bobby McMahon versus like, I mean, it's kind of like Bobby Boucher from The Waterboy in a way. Just wanted to shout you out with a W on when you said salary cap rising with, your Substack being the first thing. I saw you post about that, and that's big when you are going to find out information and you come up with the information. You're like, oh, I'll just source myself.
That was a good moment for me. I like to do my own thing, and I decided I have a lot of questions about the cap, so let's go out and find the answers. And nice that people can use it as a resource, and now I 5% know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Salary cap is like, yes, congratulations. It's really tough to kind of wrap your head around a lot of it. Like just all the numbers and all the things and like guys' contracts and everything's, because so many people, especially right now as the Leafs look to like, as we all look at the center position, third line center would be everyone's, there's the Braden Shen rumors and it's like, well, he has no move. No, he has a full no trade. So it's like really trying to explain to people also like how does, fifth year out of 8, like blah, 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 all these different things, cap rising, where everyone else is, all these puzzle pieces. Based on kind of like what you've seen, read, or feel, if you're the Leafs and like you're shopping for that center, and we've heard so many different names, who do you think maybe either most likely or would best fit with the Leafs?
Oh, it's so tough because the Leafs have the internal cap is nothing. They have so much money to spend, but how can they fit it in right now before the cap rises? I think little old Brock from the Islanders. Do you think Lou would answer a call on that?
No way,
I would love to see
Jose.
that.
Lou's not letting Brock go. And also, I also don't know what Lou's thinking. Like, I don't know if anyone really does. Liking to see that Morgan Rielly seems to be getting his sea legs back a bit. Feels like this first half of the season wasn't really Morgan Rielly's time, but like the last 2 games, especially on the power play that led to Bobby McMahon's goal, feels like he's maybe, I don't know, maybe it just took him a little time to heat up. I saw guys on Hockey Night in Canada being like, it just might be a down year for him, other stuff going on outside. And like, I mean, we don't know that. I mean, who knows that? Like maybe right now he's just Undertaker waking up. I don't know what you've seen or what you think about him, but if he's going, that would be huge for the Leafs right now.
I think, January was a huge month for him and the power play in general, and he was a huge force. I keep saying force. That's the word of the day for Morgan Rielly. But I feel like this year the focus has been more on stay-at-home defense, and you got Chris Tanev, OEL's doing really well, and I feel like that has been the focus, and he's been able to take a step back and kind of take a deep breath. And now when they need something else going, he's been there to provide that. So the beauty of this season is Leafs fans are going to worry no matter what. Leafs media is going to worry no matter what, but you don't really have to worry because they've been consistently, it's like anytime they get a losing streak, they just immediately bounce back with kind of what they have needed to do. And part of that is good defense and strong stay-at-home defense. So he hasn't really needed to shine.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just, completely different situations, surroundings, coach, structure, whatever, everything that they're doing, even having a goaltender that is going to be able to make saves. You're from Boston and the Bruins well. They had like a bit of a goaltending 1A, 1B situation last year in the playoffs, which didn't really work out for them that well. But if you're the Leafs, so if you have that perspective and knowledge of like how they dealt with Swayman and Ullmark, and you see like Stolarz and Woll, like how would you approach it?
Well, my heart of hearts says just give Stolarz the net because I just feel like they play more confidently in front of him. It's just something about him. At the same time, what I like to see is, maybe this is why I'm not an NHL coach, but I like to see a coach kind of wear a goaltender out and like ride the hot hand until absolutely you can't. And I think Woll's been good at coming in after Stolarz and maybe like being the relief, like the pinch hitter or whatever they call it. I like riding Stolarz and then putting Woll in if like it really has exhausted Stolarz. Because I know he's been historically the type of goaltender that isn't great handling like a huge workload, which is, I mean, he got hurt, but now he's back. It's just kind of one of those things. So I'd feel like while he's healthy, just play him as much as possible.
Like play Stolarz as much as possible or play Woll as much as possible.
Yeah. Stolarz, like in the playoffs,
Okay,
I'd start him and I just keep going.
Yeah, okay. And also I just want to hear, I believe the reference you meant is like bullpen relief.
Okay.
Not pinch hitting. I just, it's semantics.
What's a pinch hitter?
They come in to hit. Like one guy comes in to hit. Yeah. So bullpen would be like, your pitcher is gone, say 4 2/3 of an inning, and then you're like, okay, he just gave up 3 base hits and got runners on all corners. I acting like I know a lot about baseball, but like whatever. And then you'd be like, okay, looks like he's not. We got to put someone else in right now, and then they'll call the bullpen, and then they get someone in. So that's like kind of the drunk history version of what I would imagine bullpen relief explaining on a hockey podcast. Okay, so I guess right now it's like, is it kind of weird to be, I feel like a Toronto fans looking at the team and being like, things are not that bad. Like there's not really a whole lot for us to get worked up about because we have to like actually do open heart surgery on our team to figure out like the really bad things. A 5-on-5 play, not great against the Kraken. I'd say that.
Well, it's so funny because I had Steve Dangle on. We're in Bizarro World right now where we're 2 hosts of this podcast and this show, but now I'm in the analyst position. So that's what's going on, world. But we had Steve Dangle on and he was just saying there's always going to be something to worry about and it doesn't matter until the playoffs. And that's just kind of how it's been for this team. But like, I disagree with that because I'm not like a Leafs fan historically. I feel they're playing so different. They're playing with confidence. They're playing with a goaltender that works. I think that is just like you saw the Bruins a few years ago, and it's just kind of that tandem really worked, and you feel as confident as ever. But I guess they did blow it. So I feel like you're just anxious until the playoffs hit.
For sure, and also who their matchup's going to be. Like, I mean, they're right now kind of volleying for that first spot right now in the Atlantic, and like they have games in hand over Florida. They're second, but they're still 2 games behind them. And then who they match up against. I talked with someone who was like, oh, they're probably going to end up with like the Rangers, which would be just a hot mess of like if the Rangers
That'd be
make
your
the
Super
playoffs.
Bowl, though.
Yeah.
That would be your Super Bowl.
It would be.
You get to be boots on the ground.
I'd be, okay. Also, I heard people say like, we can't, I watched a TikTok that was like, okay, boots on the ground and like mission critical. Like we aren't in the army. Like this guy did a whole thing like at work. Like what we do is not that intense. I don't know. It just reminded me back to a TikTok I literally just watched. But yes, I've got boots on the ground. I got eyes on the target. I got the inside information, the scoops on both teams. It's very hard to get scoops on the Rangers because it's like I still hold my pass when I go into the locker room, like up to my face, past like 5 different security guards. And I've been there now. Yeah, I'm like, I'm pretty sure maybe you might remember me from such games as the last one I was here at, or all of them this season.
So it kind of is the Army. This is the
MSG.
Army.
It certainly is. Yes. So boots on the ground works. But like, okay, let's look at the top guys. Do we kind of give them? I don't know. It feels as though Marner got his 500th assist, fastest in Leafs history. Congratulations to him. He looks like he's going to be getting a good payday, and hopefully they're figuring that contract out soon. other than that, like, I don't know, what would you make of kind of like the top 6 guys at this point? Other than, let's just say, Domi seems to be a bit of a tough one.
Marner, I'm super impressed with. I think this is the best season of his career. And I think his two-way game, it's not underrated. It's adequately rated as very good. And it is such a driving force on this team. I think Nylander is having a great season, and I love to see him get a hat trick. I don't know. His personality, underrated. I think Matthews, he's been in and out of the lineup with an injury. I like that he did what he had to do in Germany. I wonder how he's doing behind the scenes when it comes to captainship. I love Tavares without the C. I think he's been
really
great with like the kids. You know what I mean? Domi's struggling. I think he's a very streaky player. So I feel like come playoffs, maybe he'll get a few random garbage goals and that'll be good for the team.
Right. Yeah, he stepped up big time in the playoffs last year. And as you mentioned, and I cut you off before, but Matthew Nyes really doing well. And he's just so great in front of the net. Love everything about his game. I think that some of those guys just really doing so great on special teams. They won the special teams battle last night. And penalty kill, the power play, getting better. I mean, a lot of these things can kind of be a bit streaky, but loved seeing Felipe Myers getting his first goal as a Leaf and first goal since November 17th, 2022. Yes, forever in my mind. It's just going to be like these guys being like, C. Like, and that's what they did a lot. Like, but it actually sounded like they were in my own apartment calling the game. And also maybe it was just like a figment of my imagination that this was in Spanish. But now we've got like with Four Nations coming up, I feel like Four Nations is just this like it's the yellow brick road to like the Wizard of Oz, like where they're going. And it's like, we don't really know what's going to happen. There's also a lot of other factors in the Four Nations situation. That's like Canada, USA, will be very interesting to see how that goes down on the ice, off the ice. Patrice Bergeron told me on another show this week that like they legitimately hate each other so much that they fought each other in an exhibition game before the World Cup in 2016. And then they had to be like, yo, guys, we still have to play games. Like, we can't just like try to kill each other before this game. And so like, yeah, we wonder like how these guys are going to do during Four Nations, but I've talked with some executives who've been like, it doesn't change how we're going to try to trade for players or whatnot. But I mean, if you have like a massive it's like the Olympics. It's like, I guess like they said a guy could get injured just walking down the street, or like Dustin Penner, like eating pancakes, right? I guess you just kind of have to roll the dice.
People forget. Yeah, I do. I do feel like this isn't at the level of the Olympics, and then these guys are teammates right in the playoff race right now. So I feel like injury is going to be generally avoided, but if an accident happens, it happens. And you're right. They can be walking down the street. Victor Rask with his avocado, and he hurt his hand. It just happens. Life happens.
Yes. I had forgotten about the Dustin Penner thing until I literally was saying it. And it's like part of my brain was reactivated of like, oh yeah, that happened. Some of the worst injuries are the most random ones, right? Like, it's just like, oh yeah, I did this. And it's kind of embarrassing. Like, I fell down the stairs because of, I don't know what. Oh man, I've heard some crazy stories I'm not going to get into. They'd be great for content, but like not for hockey. Go ahead.
We'll do that after hours. I do want to see Pettersson and Miller fight at center ice.
I think that Miller will fight Pettersson. I think he'll just try to fight him anyway. I don't know do you think Pettersson will fight back?
No, 0% chance. Well, 0.9% chance that I want it to happen because I crave the drama.
Yeah, I hope we do get some like ridiculous drama that goes on. But I think actually I'm going to roll that one back a bit because, with everything going on in the world, I booked a ticket to go to the Four Nations. Once I heard that,
Boston
the tariff situation wasn't going to be implemented yet. So I was curious how that would affect prices on what for the Four Nations. I mean, it's something to think about.
Oh, they're already a million.
Yes. Okay, well, they got the Canucks coming up, Hockey Night in Canada, a little Toronto, Vancouver. Speaking of teams that don't like each other or / cities that hate each other, I know that very well with relatives in Vancouver who absolutely hate Toronto and the Leafs. So we got a little Rick Tocchet, we got a little Craig Berube, we got a team coming in with 2 wins, we got a team coming in with 3 wins. You talked about Pettersson right then and all the Petterssons. What do you like about this matchup?
I like that last time it happened, the Leafs got booed off their own home ice. So I feel like it's going to be really heated and they're really going to try to make a statement and respond.
When was that they got booed off?
A few weeks ago, maybe it's sometime in January. And then what I loved about that game too was the response after they went on a winning streak. So kind of the resiliency of the Leafs. And it's another test to see if they pass.
I know. They have all these little tests. The whole regular season is just little tests. It's like quizzes until the big final exam at the end of the year. That's what the Leaf season is. And it is definitely we got to pass that. We got to pass, Billy passed the 3rd grade, oh, what a glorious day. We got to get past that because if not, it's just always going to be the regular season of just, what does the playoffs mean? What does the playoffs mean? It's just, it gets a little slow at this point in the year.
It really does. But the East right now is an absolute mess. So at least we're entertained by that.
Yes, we love messes because that means chaos. So, okay, if you were to look at the wild card, I'll let you go in a bit. I'll let you go from my grasp.
No, I love hanging out with you.
I love hanging out with you too. And there's so many things we want to talk about that are not related to hockey and the Leafs right now because there's just a lot going on. Sarah and I have a lot of extracurricular activities happening. We got fingers in all different pies. Okay, let's look at
the stream of consciousness of our texts.
Yeah, it's just and the voice notes. Okay, looking at the wild card stuff, it's going to come down to the last day, always. Okay, you got Columbus in the first, so you got Senators in a wild card spot, the first wild card spot, and the Red Wings in the second. 62, 61 points. And then Columbus, Boston, both on the 60 points. Islanders, 57. And then the Rangers, 56. And then whatever, the Habs, blah, all that. I love how the Islanders have went on an 8-2 run. I mean, they had that 7-game win streak out of nowhere, it felt like.
I know. It kind of annoys me, but it's just I know they're not going to be legit in the playoffs because they don't have the depth, but who am I to say that? I don't know. It's just, I hate the Sabres do this all the time, the random win streak at the end of the year to give them just a glimmer of hope. I don't think it's happening for them. I hope it happens for Columbus. And that feels
also very much like the Islanders do this a lot. Last year they got in based on loser points, and it's actually just really handcuffs the organization to not being able to sell at the deadline because they're well, we're in it. We might as well keep going. And then it's oh yeah, I forgot. You're not really that good and you're going to end up losing in the first round. So I talked with some Islanders fans in New York who are it's either you gotta actually be good and win or you gotta be bad and lose. Figure out who you are. Because all these teams on the cusp, I mean, they're all in the buying situation right now. The Rangers came back from the dead.
They really did. It really is just going to be, it's already, we have a mini trade deadline ahead of Four Nations and it's been absolutely wild. So the world will only know what will happen come March 7th. 1 month from today.
Oh, 1 month till trade deadline.
Let's go.
Trade bait. Okay, we'll have to see what happens. All right. Well, I hope you guys have had an enjoyable time on this riveting podcast of the Toronto Maple Leafs winning once again. It's getting boring. We know that because we're used to more chaos than this at this point. But don't worry. I'm sure they've got a lot of craziness left in store for us to be able to talk about as they always do. It's Toronto, and they're taking on Vancouver on Saturday Night Hockey Night in Canada. And then they will be... That's their last of this. Yeah. And then they'll be off for the Four Nations. And we know a couple guys are going there, including Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and William Nylander, all being on different teams, which will be very fun to see. All right, Sarah, I hope you have had a good time doing this from your hotel room, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've had a wonderful time in this hotel room with you. Okay.
All right. Well, that's not the first time you've ever said that. Haha, that's what she said. All right. We'll wrap things up here on the Toronto Sports Rush. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.